I always thought was like, oh, you've made it in life when you're making $100,000. I hated my job. I was miserable being tied to a W-2 and having to go and do the same exact thing every day. Here, I tell them about Real because I'm like, I wish someone did this to me years ago. My only regret is not moving sooner. Yeah. I wish when I was 6 months pregnant, getting ready to move, I did it because it's just, it's uncomfortable for a little bit, but you're not growing if you're not uncomfortable. So,
I mean, but everything keeps evolving where, I've been here for so long, like that's great. That's noble, that your loyalty and everything like that. But is it truly the best place for your real estate license? And that's how I started to conceive my business. And I'm like, where is the actual best location for my license to serve my clients, serve my business, keep me out of the weeds? And like, it just wasn't even a question.
You're listening to Make Your Own Key. I started this podcast to have authentic conversations with agents and cover the hot topics about the real estate industry and how to build profitable real estate business and teams. There's so much fluff and ego surrounding this business, and it's tough to know what's true and what's not. We're going to talk about what it really takes to make it in real estate, the truth about teams and brokerages, and how to position yourself for the next 5 years in this business. After all, your brokerage isn't going to save you. Success in real estate is up to you. I'm Seth Lejeune. Thanks for listening. Find us on Instagram at Make Your Own Key. Let's go.
All right, Becky. What's up?
Seth, not much. How are you?
I'm good, man. I wanted to bring you on. You are one of our newer additions to the Philly real scene. Mm-hmm. And I was just interviewing somebody who's been here for a very long time. And I was excited to hop on with you just because you have probably a newer perspective, newer onboarding process, and just coming in fresh. So super casual. We're just going to talk a little bit about you, your hopes, dreams, where you came from, and how your experience has been at Real. And we are okay mentioning other brokerages if you want. You can just say whatever you want, and talk freely here. So why don't you take us back? Pre-licensing, got licensed. Tell us, give us like 5 minutes of like how your career kind of projected all the way to this day.
All right, awesome. Well, I grew up here in the Philly suburbs in Doylestown, and I decided I wanted to branch out and go to college not around here. So I went to Boston, and right out of Boston, I got a marketing degree and got hired by Aldi food stores as a district manager to help them expand into the New England market. And I did that for 4 years. And while I was making a lot of money at the time, I was 23 and I was making $100,000 a year, which I always thought was like, oh, you've made it in life when you're making $100,000. I hated my job. I was miserable being tied to a W-2 and having to go and do the same exact thing every day. And I was married to my ex-husband at the time, and he got a job transfer to Columbus, Ohio. And I didn't even know where Columbus was on the map, to be honest. I'm like, is it northern, southern in the state? I don't know.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, it's right in the middle. And so I decided to quit my job at Aldi and move with him to Columbus. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt very lost and at a crossroads. I was 27. And I took a couple months off to think about really what I was passionate about. And I was able to buy my first house at 23 when I started working at Aldi. And my parents never owned a home. We grew up lower middle class in a trailer park, and they never owned a home. I never knew how you could own a home. I always thought rich people was who owned homes. I didn't know you needed less than 20% down, or you could buy a home with less than 20% down, or you could buy a home with less than an 850 credit score. I had literally no idea. And so I navigated that whole process myself and bought my first home with an FHA loan. And I only had like a 650 credit score at the time. And I got a seller assist and the whole nine. And I loved the process. So I decided to get my real estate license. And this was 2012. And everyone told me not to because we were coming out of the recession still. And I was in a market that I didn't know anyone in. I didn't even know where it was in the state. I didn't know the difference between the school districts, literally nothing. And I'm so glad I didn't know what I didn't know, because it didn't stop me from pursuing my dream of becoming a realtor. So I got my license in 2012 in Ohio, and I started at Keller Williams, and I joined the top producing team at the office. I begged them to hire me because I only wanted to be surrounded by the best. Yeah. And in my first year, I sold 24 homes, and I was rookie of the year. And I did it all through open houses because I didn't know anyone. And I had no kids. My husband worked full time, and I just did open houses. I did them during the week. I did them at night. I did them on Saturdays and Sundays. And that's how I built my business. And I was in Ohio for a year and a half. I was making good money. I was coming up close to $100,000 a year and matching what I was making at Aldi. And I got divorced, and I moved back to the Doylestown area, which is just north of Philadelphia. And I had to start over in 2014. So I got my license in Pennsylvania in 2014. I went and joined a Keller Williams. I actually joined KW Doylestown, and I had to start over. So it was a little bit of a slower climb when I came back here, and I probably didn't start making six figures until 2016. Yeah, 2016. I crossed over that $100,000 threshold, and then from there it just skyrocketed, and I was growing probably 20 to 30% or more every year. Mm-hmm. Then in 2020, and I stayed at KW. I actually moved from KW Doylestown to KW Philly in 2020 because I wanted to move to the city to see how city life would be. Not for me. I'm a country bumpkin. Yeah, I'm glad I did it just to say I did it. Yeah. But, so I transferred my license to KW Philly, and it was fine. You know, I didn't have any gripes. It was the best option that I knew of. I mean, I looked into Berkshire, I looked into Remax, I looked into the discount brokerages that are the flat fees per transaction, like HomeSmart, and I can't even remember the other ones, but KW was the best option for me. And when Mike McCann opened the main line, I transferred my license out there because he's a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And I stayed there from 2021 until September of 25. And in 2020, I started a team. And right now my team has actually just onboarded a new agent last week. So it's myself, the Rainmaker. And then I have a full-time director of operations. I have a full-time ISA. His title is Director of Growth and Sales. And then I have a full-time transaction coordinator. And then I have 5 licensed agents. And last year we did just over 42 million in volume. I had my biggest year personally. My GCI was right around 700,000. And it was wonderful. I mean, there was nothing wrong with being at KW. In fact, I loved being in the proximity of Mike because he's just great. Yeah. But a friend of mine who was a past coach introduced me to Real. And when she moved from EXP to Real and had an incredible downline, making 5 figures a month at EXP, and she burned it all to the ground to move over to Real. Yeah. And she called me one day and she's like, this is in the summer of 24, actually. I was pregnant. And I'm like, this is the worst timing because I'm pregnant and I'm busy and I can't even think about making a brokerage change right now. I was at KW for almost 13 years. So it wasn't something I took lightly, but I just kept thinking about it. And I gave birth, and right after I gave birth, I was thinking about it. And then we decided to move when I was 3 weeks postpartum. That was fun. Don't ever recommend that. Yep. And then I moved, and I'm like, I got settled, and I just couldn't stop thinking about Real and all this money I was giving to KW, and they're doing nothing for me. And when I really sat back and thought about, okay, no one is hiring me because of the brokerage that I'm with. That was initial limiting belief that I had that I just got out of my mind because I've sold over 700 homes. No one's hired me because I was with KW. They hired me for me. Two, I initially was like, oh, the market share in this area that Real has is almost non-existent compared to KW. But then when I changed the way I looked at things, I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to be a pioneer, to broadcast the brand and just help with the expansion in this market. And I was just, I got so excited about that because we're entrepreneurs and we're like building things and we are visionaries. And that's really got me amped up. And then the third thing that was really holding me back was my relationship with Mike. And when I realized like Mike isn't going to be creating passive income for my family in 5 to 10 years and helping me pay for them to go to college or whatever they want to do. And all these things that Real provides, I made the decision and I knew he would be very graceful and be supportive because that's just the guy he is. And he actually exceeded my expectations of how he took the news. He was crying.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and that was in September of last year. And so we've been here for about 4 months and best decision I ever could make. Every agent that I talk to that I feel a connection with that I know would be a great fit here, I tell them about Real because I'm like, I wish someone did this to me years ago. My only regret is not moving sooner. I wish when I was 6 months pregnant, getting ready to move, I did it because it's just, it's uncomfortable for a little bit, but you're not growing if you're not uncomfortable. So that's my story.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, and so you came from food retail.
Yes, very low profit margins.
I did not realize. I have a really good friend. She's my Columbus bestie, Candace Neff. She's an agent. She's with Real, and I help her from time to time, but so I talked to her. I know exactly where Columbus is, and I know exactly how that market's doing because I talk to her all the time about what's happening. So that's interesting. You were out there for a short stint, and then like, what are you kind of dabbled in the very beginning or at the very end there? Like, how has this brokerage changed the way you look at your business, though?
Oh my gosh. Well, instead of just being a salesperson and just living in the life of transactions and all right, this one's closed, on to the next one. I'm looking really from a bird's eye view down and looking at all of the streams of revenue that are provided. I opted into stock. I already have, I think, over $7,000 in stock between my personal contributions and the company match. I've already made over $3,000 in revenue share, which I haven't even talked about agent attraction or tried. It was literally, this is actually wild. So I got accepted into the Real Luxury division in November, which was cool. And so I got into the Real Luxury division, and a few weeks after that, I get a random email from an agent. I've never heard of him. I don't know him. He's like, "Hey, Becky, I decided to move from, I think he was with Coldwell Banker to Real. And I was on the website and it said that I needed to name a sponsor. And I was wondering if I could name you as my sponsor."
Sure.
I'm like, what? I look him up and, he does a handful of transactions a year. He's in Northeast Philly. And I'm like, this can't be real. And he's like, yeah, I wanted an agent in Lower Bucks. I wanted the agent to have a luxury designation, and I looked you up on social media, and I really like your vibe and just everything about what you do every day. And can I name you? And I'm like, sure. So that was crazy. That happened to me. And then just other people. I have had 2 other agents just call me and they're like, hey. Yeah.
People just get like FOMO, like, take me with you,
Yes, it's wild. Like, they're like, we follow you. I've been following you. And like, I know that you make any crazy, hasty decisions. Like, I have to know what you're doing. Can we meet for coffee? And so I've had a bunch of those conversations lately,
sure.
And they're all about to make the move, and it's going to be very exciting.
It is, and that's what I saw that same opportunity that you were talking about. It was just like almost, and I I think I said it at our lunch last year. It's like we get to be kind of like the mamas and the papa bears of this whole thing, because Real is a very established company, across the continent. But Philadelphia, we're the 6th largest metro in the country and by population, and certainly with agents. And like, there's a lot of us here, but there's not a lot of us here, and, being able to tell people about business opportunities is like one of my like purposes on this planet. And, I've brokered, business partnerships and deals, not even in real estate, because I just like putting like-minded people together.
Mm-hmm.
My trajectory, I came out of Berkshire Hathaway and Remax, and it was just kind of like, it was very siloed. It was very traditional. There wasn't a lot of entrepreneurial energy. And I was very, very close to going to KW, and I just couldn't do it. It really just kind of came down to what you talked about, just the value prop, right? The amount of money they wanted, and I'm just like, I'm the brand. Like, it's my CRM, it's my sphere, it's my people, I have my own VAs, my own TC. I'm like, what am I paying all this money for? And Real is not free. There is a fee, a charge for it, but this company gives 61% of its money back to the agent, which is not possible at a Berkshire or a Remax, and even at a KW that does profit share, but not revenue share. So the other like similar national model, the EXP, I just was not interested in it.
Yeah.
I just wasn't like, I just didn't, there's something off, and I never really like did a deep dive. I did a lot of deep dives like in 2020, but I never kind of went back to it. But I always say that, since 2018, when I decided to leave Berkshire Hathaway, every year I interviewed with 5 brokerages at least, because not only was I looking for one, but then even when I owned a Remax franchise, I wanted to see what other people were offering, just because I was trying to grow that business. And every year since 2018, I had interviewed at all these brokerages. And last year, my first full year at Real, it was the first year I didn't interview anywhere. Like, I don't need to go anywhere. I feel completely, this is aligned exactly with my psychology, my business, my model, and so I'm glad that you feel the same way. Were you skeptical about anything at Real? Like, there's no way that could be a thing. Was there something you're like, it's maybe a bait and switch?
So I was not skeptical, just because the people that I knew that were already at Real, I know their business. I know how they operate. And I'm like, there's no way they would have, like, one of my co-sponsors, Jenna, she had been when I onboarded, she was at Real for 1.5 years. And if it wasn't the real deal, she would have left by then. And she even was like, it's even better than what it's going to be. And I feel the same way. I'm like, now I know what she was talking about. But a few of the agents on my team, I'm not going to lie, they were like, this is too good to be true. And I'm like, I know, but it's not. Like, just trust me. You don't have to come, because, it's a lot for them. At the time I had 3 agents on my team, and I just onboarded a 4th actually. And it was horrible, because they paid all this money to onboard at KW. It's not cheap. It's like, I think it was like $500 something. And then they save like 1 or 2 months in escrow for your office bill, which we were paying $153 a month. And I just said, I hope that you trust me. I don't make hasty decisions. I was with KW for almost 13 years, and I'm very loyal. I make sure that I cross my T's and dot my I's before I make a big jump like this. And so my husband even was like, because he's not in the industry, and he's like, I don't really know anything about any of this, but if you trust that this is the best thing for us and our family, I trust you. So, yeah, it's better than I even thought. And I will tell you, like, the onboarding was so seamless. I actually did it on the day that Charlie Kirk died. It was September 10th I onboarded. So I was like so upset about him. And like, I'm laying in bed on the 10th, like watching all the news articles, and like so just traumatized by this sad event and onboarding at Real, because that was the day that I committed to onboarding. And it was done in like an hour. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I just remember being at KW, like I had to go in and sit with whatever the title of the girl was, like multiple times for hours, like trying to get, and I'm like, this is just a lot. Like, I got houses to sell. The other thing that I absolutely love about Real is the fact that you can be licensed in many states and literally just have one cap. We're licensed in Jersey too, and I'm about to get my license in Florida. And I love that we just have one cap. Everything is in reZen in one platform. I could log in at any time from my phone or my desktop and look at every single piece of information there. There's been multiple times, unfortunately, in the 4 months I've been here, where I had really crazy situations with some deals. Like, I had a deal, a buyer up in Upper Bucks in Pennsburg. I do a lot in the equestrian community because I ride horses and I have a horse. So it was a equestrian client of mine, and she was buying a 5-acre property, bringing her horses there. So, there's a lot of zoning involved with the acreage compared to how many horses you can have, XYZ. And the listing agent was advertising this property as like 5.1 acres. And we were looking for at least 5 acres because of the amount of horses she was bringing. And there was, a million offers. We had to be very aggressive. We had to waive everything. So
how many acres was it?
Yeah. 3 acres. And the only reason we found out was because they let us on the property to get a fencing quote because they wanted to do fencing right when they moved in. And the fencing contractor has like his own app. And he's like, so you need about 3 acres worth of fencing. She's like, no, 5.1. He's like, no, this is only a 3-acre property. And we're like, what? Public records said it was 5.1. They were advertising it as 5.1, like for 20 something years So I had to call, and I'm like, well, who do I talk to get out of this? Because we have no contingency at all.
Yeah.
And it was so easy to go right into the app, call the broker. They got back to me. Actually, they answered the phone. I literally dialed them from the app. Bill answered the phone, told me exactly what to do. The notes were recorded in reZen. We ended up having to get an attorney involved, and the buyer had to pay for it, but we got out of the contract. And that was, it was amazing. And I will tell you, at KW, there were probably 350 agents at that office, one broker, and we couldn't call or text him. We had to email him. And sometimes it would take 3 business days for a response.
Yeah. That's actually common at a lot of, the irony is we only have like 1 or 2, we have like a broker of record and a managing broker for the state. Now we don't have as many agents as KW, but like their whole thing is to be super responsive. And I know other states that have a lot more agents. They just keep adding brokers because that's like a huge thing. And like, I might have called Tina once last year. I might have called our broker once last year. I've actually never had to call Bill. And it was something dumb. I just needed to just double confirm something. But that is important when you get into these really complex deals, is actually having that support, because it's like, listen, man, I'm paying you all this money to be here. Pick up the fucking phone.
Yeah.
And our broker here, like, I'm pretty sure he invented real estate. He's
amazing. I love it.
49th year.
Literally, he told me that the other day when I was talking to him about property management, and I'm like, this is wild. And
you need to know about anything. The guy, if you got some time, he's going to tell you all of it.
Oh yeah.
But, very, very knowledgeable. Whereas a lot of other brokerages, you're just like kind of relying on that like office manager that's in the like office broker who's like kind of maybe just tired of selling, just wants to manage.
Or they just go to school and they get their broker's license because they hit the requirement, which really isn't that bad. It's like 3 years of selling and you have to sell 20 houses or
something like that. Yeah.
This is scary.
Yeah. So what kind of agent do you think is best suited to be here? Because there's a lot of different psych profiles of agent. Like, who doesn't belong here and who belongs here? Because that's one of the things I love about this place. It's like we don't want everybody. Like, we don't.
No. And
not for everybody.
I completely agree with you. And I would say the agents that don't belong are the agents that look at, even though we are 1099 employees and we are independent contractors and we are business owners, there are realtors out there, and I'm sure you know some of them, that actually think that the office manager or the broker is their boss. And they feel like they need to go into the office every day and show up to work and be told what to do, and they're handheld, and they are given an agenda or an itinerary of like, from 9 to 10 you should do this, and from 10 to 11 do this, and you have to be on floor time, and they're like, okay, sir, yes sir, and that's the agent that does not belong here. Or the agent that just is looking for a magic pill that is going to all of a sudden transform their business by making all these brokerage moves. But in reality, no, you're the only one. And it's literally just through being consistent and following up. That is, and speed to implementation. Money loves speed. And so those are the agents that belong at Real, that are true business owners, that have an entrepreneurial mindset, that are self-starters, and thrive around other high performing individuals. And of course, there's agents on teams that have no desire to run teams like we do, and they have no desire to sell 100 homes a year like I've come close to doing. I don't ever want to do that again because now I have 2 little kids. But and they're happy with selling 1 or 2 houses a month, or and doing their thing. But really, they're also very entrepreneurial. They have an entrepreneurial spirit, and they like the structure of being on a team. They like having that accountability. And those people are great for Real and being on a team at Real, which are all the agents on my team. But the independent agents or the team leaders that are at Real, like exactly what I said, like me and you, because I can think of agents right now that names are coming to mind, and they feel like the brand is what is what's powering their business and what's bringing their business, bringing success into their business. And it's not. And when they realize that, like, it's just, your world will be changed when you realize it's nothing to do with the brand.
Well, certainly, your options, like because I went from owning a RE/MAX franchise in 23 to 24, I stayed at a RE/MAX. Now we sent the franchise back to Denver, RE/MAX corporate, and then I just joined another RE/MAX because I was like, I don't want to go. Like, I looked all over the place. I was like, I'm just gonna stay. Like, no one will know it's a different RE/MAX. No one's gonna care. But I even as soon as early 24, I was one of those agents who was sitting there saying, like, I still just need a brand to like walk into these like mainline houses or whatever, like some of these higher end people that are going to want a brand. And I just realized during 24 that I just got such a I don't know. I just my swagger, like when I went into these listing appointments, it was very much. I mean, you know how it is. It's like I'm interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me at this point. Like I don't like we do enough volume where like I don't get a deal, even $1 million deal. Like I'm okay. Like I'll sleep that night. It sucks, but so at that point, then I just started the evolution change where I'm like, no. So now there's an opportunity because we have a really great product that's like ready to grow like a weed here in Philly. And nobody's really like honing in on it. And it leads me to my next question is, where do you think like the real estate brokerage is going to be in the next 5 years? Like with everything that's going on. Let's talk a little like industry. Jargon.
I'm so amped for the future. I know that COVID really disrupted the real estate industry in terms of the way brokerages operate, because no one goes into the office anymore. The people that are going into the office, I would say, for the most part, there's a couple of outliers, but for the most part, they don't sell. Or they barely sell anything. They just feel the need to report somewhere. And I'm kind of talking like those W-2 employees that would never thrive at Real, because they feel the need to like clock in and out. And it's wild. It's crazy to me. But no one's going into the office. So these brick and mortar brokerages like the KWs and the Berkshires that have a lot of overhead, and that's why we're giving them, $28,000. That was what my cap was at KW between the international fee and then the independent franchise fee, plus the office fees every month. Plus, if I wanted desk space, it was $100 a desk. Wild. I really think they're going to start shutting down and they're going to all start merging together. Like I'm in Lower Bucks. There's 3 KWs in this area, all owned by the same person. And my prediction is that by the end of this year, or like in the next 18 months, there's going to be some big announcement and all 3 of them are going to merge into one. Guaranteed, because their overhead that they have on these commercial spaces is insane. And then they have to have salaries of people to work the front desk and all of that. I think that is absolutely going to happen. And I think people are going to really start waking up when that stuff starts happening and the value isn't there anymore. The people that have been on the edge, they're like, I know I'm not really happy, but like, I'm not that uncomfortable that I want to make a movie. I think that's really what's
that'll push them through the door.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I mean, on the main line, you were at KW main line. I don't know how much like business you do down there, but it's like
none. I did no business at all.
You just look at Berkshire Hathaway and like, I think it's a great company. Taught me amazing things. I'm very grateful to both the brokerages that I was at. I mean, I think they're outstanding companies, but there's just way too much overhead. There's just way too much infrastructure. And I always say, like, the real estate consumer doesn't engage the office like they did 20 years ago.
Exactly.
When someone has you doing floor time, I'm like, what consumer is walking into, are you trying to like sell the UPS man? Like a house? Like Bob and Susie Smith would come in like, hey, we have a house on 123 Cherry Street. We need a realtor. Like the internet, it took 20 years. The internet completely made all these offices and everything obsolete. Now, I will say, I think the role of the office is going to change. It is not going to be led by brokers. It is going to be led by entrepreneurial agents where they have flex space. They have an ability to bring people. Some of those people really do need an office. Like they don't have like literally anywhere to work at home or a place to collaborate, coach, mentor, hold events. But it's not going to be this like everyone's in there making copies and like ticking envelopes and talking at the water cooler. It's going to be more. I think the real estate office is going to morph more into like a collaboration space. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of these brokerages are going to mirror what we do, which is Real does not like they put a broker in these offices, but the agent is responsible for them. They're responsible for paying for them, the lease, and the compliance. And Real has no financial responsibility to these offices. And that is how revenue share is achieved, because if they're not spending money on Keurig cups and paper clips and snow removal during blizzards and all that, it's like they can give a lot more money back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think just like how it took 20 years for the internet to vanquish that role of like, there's no longer an MLS book and like everything's kind of on the internet now. I think the way that agents think about offices is going to fundamentally change. We just need enough of them fired up that that the agent will be like, well, wait, that's an office I might go to. Like, because there's something cool going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be I think a lot of disruption in that space. Like, and that's why I was with Keller Williams for over a decade. And I was adding it up the other day when I started doing my taxes. In an entire decade at KW, I probably made a total of $15,000 in profit share.
Yeah.
A total in a decade. Mm-hmm. If that, maybe less. I got it's not a 10, it's like 1098. I don't know, but it's my IRS form for the profits from last year, right?
Distribution.
It was like $1,900. Yeah. And I made that in my first 2.5 months at Real. And I had all my agents name me as their sponsor at KW. And then there was like maybe 4 or 5 other people that I was friendly with that I, over the years got to onboard at KW. But the difference at KW, which a lot of agents don't realize, is that the profit share is determined by the profitability of the market center that they sign up at.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize that. And it's funny because when you call that out in a public setting, and I actually did it once, to one of the local OPs here, they like almost shut down my question and they like changed the subject because they're like, well, you know, you shouldn't really focus on that. You should be wanting to do things for the greater good and bring more agents in. So help with the profitability. And it's like, well, like it's really not profit share. And it's really determined on the market center you sign up at. And there's a lot, like I have friends because I do a lot of coaching in the space. I coach and then I have a coach and I just network with a lot of other top producing women that are moms. And there's a lot of KW agents in these groups that like their market centers are failing miserably. Like they have no team leader. They can't find anyone that's qualified.
Yep.
The OPs are completely absent and never show up.
Yep.
It's crazy. So,
again, the same way that the agent is taking their license and taking ownership of their license, the same thing's going to happen with offices.
Yeah.
It's going to work where these brokers are going to be more supporting the agent than like, hey, here's your office and like we supply everything. It's not going to be, it's going to completely reverse itself. Mm-hmm. So I think that the agent is kind of like the first thing to go, the mentality of the agent. And then it's like, well, wait, an office, like we're going to spend all this money on all these offices that nobody uses and nobody wants to go to. Like, what are we doing? And I agree with you. I mean, when we just saw this whole thing with Compass buying anywhere, that is a harbinger, I think, of what's to come. Now, I think that Compass is I think a fantastic company. However, they've never had a profit, and they're buying transactions, and they are going toe to toe with Zillow, which is like completely backed by lobbyists in DC. Like Zillow ain't going nowhere, you know. Yeah. So they can go spend all that money and everything like that, and their tech is great. There's no doubt, but they're largely needing to buy transactions for their ancillaries and to keep. It's like a very old idea. It's like more, where it's like, no, maybe less is more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
Everything becomes more flexible and nimble, and that's how you become profitable.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that I would get these random calls from people trying to recruit me to Compass with like a $200,000 sign-on bonus. And I'm like, how can you even afford this? Like, I mean, I do good business, but it's not like I'm a $200 million producer and you're willing to just hand me a check for 200 grand. Like, how many people are you doing this to? And how are you even profitable? And how is this sustainable? And the fact that these agents never cap at Compass, that's crazy to me. I don't know.
That's crazy to me. That was the thing where
I don't know why to go there.
I literally took my third time there, my third meeting, and I'm like, you don't have to tell me about the tech. You don't have to tell me about anything. You know, I don't need to go meet Robert Refkin in Center City. You need to tell me why I'm going to give you like 60 grand. Mm-hmm. This year. Like what I need to make that back and then some. So, and I literally preface the entire meeting as you need to tell me how I'm going to make this money back and what the value proposition is. And he was a nice guy, but it just didn't work. So, but the thing is that the Berkshire Hathaway and Compass have moved the splits. They're no longer like 80-20, 85-15. Like they're really edging. They're trying to keep people by just giving them more of their split, but they never cap. And if you're doing more than like 20 million, and those numbers get scary.
I know.
Really scary.
Yeah. And I'd rather honestly, like the tech at Real is insane. It is insane. Like I never used Command, the CRM at KW. I've been using Follow Up Boss since 2020 and I've just been paying for it. I know at Real we have Lofty at a deep discount, which I feel like is very similar to Follow Up Boss. And if I didn't have Follow Up Boss, if I was using it, I absolutely would have used Lofty. But I would rather be in control over my own tech and all the other things that like the one thing I did use Command for was they have a thing where you can send mailers out and it was like $1.05 and they could target the neighborhood and then pull the addresses. I was talking with one of my co-sponsors, Tom, telling him I was starting a farm and, send postcards out to a listing I just put on the market. and he told me, he's like, oh, use Real Mailer. It was called Real Mail. And I'm like, huh. And then that's when I realized that's who Command used. And it was the same price. And this whole time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is like this proprietary thing that, oh no. And so you have this incredible tech at your fingertips at Real that is just as good as the most techie brokerages like Compass or whatever, or even better. And you're in control of it. And you're not tied to like your value proposition to these luxury clients of like, oh, this great tech. No, you can hire your own people. Like,
yeah, it really is. And I have actually won some really nice listings, and because they're like, well, Real, I don't like, I've never heard of Real. Like, what is that? And I said, listen, I was like, I passed the threshold a couple years ago. It's like, I'm the brand, and you're hiring me. No one hires a logo. Nobody cares about the logo. And there's a lot of businesses out there that'll try to convince you that the logo matters. And they very much try to convince agents that these logos matter. But let me ask you this, Bob and Susie. If I was a young kid, software engineer coming out of college, coming out of grad school at Stanford Tech, there's only two companies. If you wanted to get into residential real estate, there's only two companies that I would go to, and it is Real and Zillow. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to Remax. No one's going to Compass. Compass laid off all their tech people. They built all their tech. No one's going to Berkshire Hathaway. Like, those are led by
Century 21 or
60s. Yeah, like 50s and 60s. Like, those people they're not inspired by tech.
No.
And so I was telling our friend Matt Marino yesterday, and I stand by this, is that I actually don't think that because of the speed that everything is changing in this business, I actually don't think that anyone should spend more than maybe like 7, 8, 9 years at the same brokerage, because like one day something's going to be better than Real. I mean, but everything keeps evolving where, I've been here for so long, like that's great. That's noble, that your loyalty and everything like that. But is it truly the best place for your real estate license? And that's how I started to conceive my business. And I'm like, where is the actual best location for my license to serve my clients, serve my business, keep me out of the weeds? And like, it just wasn't even a question. So the tech is amazing. I mean, and my team jokes like, it's so easy, Seth can use it. I am not a techie person.
I'm not either. Honestly, I am not.
I use like Trello more than like Asana, because like Trello has like big buttons and colors. It's like easy for me to like use. Asana, like, I feel like I got to go back and get like a computer science degree. I just like my brain like fritzes out, like just all the busyness with it. So everything is so easy in the background. And there's other brokerages that have like back end software for compliance and all that, but it's all just integrated together. And you can choose to use it, you can choose not to use it, but that's absolutely the case. Is like all the tech has been amazing, and then they're coming out with this AI that's actually going to onboard your clients, and they're going to pay us to use it.
I know, it's awesome.
So
I also love how quickly we get paid. Yeah. Like, I am not kidding. I had a closing at 9 a.m. Was it last week? And by 3 o'clock, my money was in my bank account.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is wild. At Keller Williams, sometimes it would be 7 to 10 days. And they would give me a check, and they would email me and tell me my check was in my mailbox.
Yeah. No.
And I'm like, I have to drive to the office to pick up my check. Like literally less than 12 hours in my account. And I just transferred it into my business account. Hit same day. Like it's just incredible. I couldn't say enough great things, and I just want to shout it from the mountaintops, because I wish my only regret is not moving sooner. And I'm just so, honestly, I will say I am so grateful for my one co-sponsor, Tom Kennedy, for blowing up my phone like every couple of weeks. And there would be days where I would ignore him because I had a lot going on. I had a newborn on my hip. I had a 2.5-year-old. I have a team I was running, and I just didn't get back to him for a few days. And there would be times where he was just texting himself, and I felt horrible. And then finally I just text him like, I'm ready. Can we get on the call? He's like, okay. Yeah. You just kind of got to do that sometimes. And
he's a super fan. I mean, you know him, man. He doesn't get like really excited.
No, he doesn't.
At all. And Tom was also on here, and but no, like you get, because I saw him down at Rise. I saw him down at the conference, and like he just loved it. I mean,
I'm so excited to go this year. I had onboarded like the month before Rise, and then we were going to Disney during the same exact time that Rise was, so I couldn't make it, but I'm definitely going this year. I cannot wait.
Yeah, and where is it this year? Is it Nashville?
I thought it was in Vegas.
Is it back in Vegas?
Maybe. I'll have to look at that.
Vegas brings like a whole other aspect of things.
I know. I was just in Vegas last week. I'm not a gambler, but I do love really good food, and the food is so expensive. I know. And I'm not even a big drinker, and so like we're drinking Diet Coke, which is my mom juice, but like I love food, so I'm eating filet and all the, and it was like $400. It was me and my sister. I'm like, how we not even drinking? We don't gamble. Thank God for my Amex points that I got my flight and my hotel for free, because otherwise it would have been like a $3,000 trip.
It was nice in Orlando. It was like 2.5 hours in and out. Like coming back from the West Coast, it's like I need a day or a red eye or a day to get back. She's not. Yep. I mean, you could take a direct flight back sometimes, but you know, it's might just do I might do Newark and then drive, because I'm only like an hour and 25 minutes from Newark, and Newark is like there's a million flights. So but anyway, but okay. Well, I appreciate you hopping on. We'll see you out there. Maybe you and I'll do a deal together someday.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'll sell you some bill of goods on a fucking 24 acre property. That's fine.
Please. Actually, I have one coming up in your neck of the woods. Well, kind of. It's in Montgomery County, but it's in Audubon.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about that one.
Yeah, I pulled it right before Christmas, but she's going to be putting it back on in March. So it's a nice
that's the same one? Yeah, got it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So maybe you'll bring a buyer.
Maybe I will, if it's priced right. All right, I'll see you.
All right, thanks, Seth. Bye.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If this was your first time listening, head over to Instagram and check out more content and interviews at Make Your Own Key. There's plenty more waiting for you there. And if you got value from this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, success in this business is up to you. Your key, your move. We'll see you next time.